Waking up one morning and your phone barely works. No signal. ATMs offline. Gas stations packed with people screaming at each other because the pumps stopped working an hour ago. Stores empty fast. Faster than most people think. And somewhere in the distance, you hear sirens, then silence. That's the part people don't talk about enough. The silence after systems start failing. Not movie stuff either. Real life gets quiet in a weird way when people are scared. And honestly, 2026 has the potential to get rough in ways a lot of people aren't prepared for. Economic instability, supply chain problems, floods, wildfires, grid failures, food prices climbing again, storms getting nastier every year. Most people assume somebody fixes it until nobody does. So in this video, I want to walk through what surviving a real worst-case year could actually look like. Not fantasy bunker nonsense. Real, practical survival. The stuff that matters when normal life starts slipping. Because when things go bad, they usually don't collapse all at once. They crack slowly first. And that's where people make dangerous mistakes. The first thing you gotta understand is this. In a major economic collapse, cash alone may not save you. People love saying just save money. Sure, save money if you can. But if supply chains fail or panic buying kicks in, the problem becomes availability, not price. You can't buy food that isn't there. And once shelves start thinning out, human behavior changes immediately. I saw this during smaller emergencies already. Storm warnings, fuel shortages. Even temporary shortages make people panic fast. They grab too much, they fight, they stop thinking clearly. Now multiply that by months. That's different. Here's the thing. You do not need years of food in a bunker. Most people can't do that anyway. But you absolutely need enough supplies to stay out of desperate crowds. That matters more than people realize. Because the first week after a crisis, that's chaos territory. Everybody suddenly remembers they need water, batteries, medicine, fuel, baby formula. Too late. So your first goal is simple. Don't become part of the panic wave. Even 2 or 3 weeks of stored food changes your situation completely. Rice, beans, oats, canned meat, peanut butter, salt, water containers. Simple stuff. Not fancy survival meals that cost a fortune. And water, man, people underestimate water every single time. You can survive being hungry for a while. Dehydration hits different, especially during heat waves or infrastructure failures. If water systems go down, things get ugly fast. Toilets stop working. Hygiene disappears. People start getting sick. That's why I tell people to have multiple ways to get water clean. Filters, boiling, purification tablets if possible. Because relying on one method, dangerous. Very dangerous. Now let's talk about power outages. Not little outages. I mean long ones. Days. Maybe weeks. Most people are psychologically addicted to electricity and don't even realize it. The second the lights stay off overnight, stress levels shoot through the roof. You notice every sound, every car outside, every dog barking. And at night, entire neighborhoods feel different when there's no artificial light. It messes with people mentally. This is where people panic. Phones die. Refrigerators warm up. Information disappears. And honestly, information becomes survival. You need a way to know what's happening without depending entirely on the internet. Battery radios matter more than people think. Same with backup batteries and small solar chargers. And let me be clear, don't waste money trying to build a movie-style apocalypse setup. Focus on comfort first. Warmth, light, water, basic cooking. A simple lantern can do more for morale than expensive gear. That sounds small until you've sat in complete darkness for 10 hours listening to wind slam against the house. Then, suddenly, a little light feels huge. Natural disasters are another thing people keep underestimating because they think they'll have warning. Sometimes you do, Sometimes you absolutely do not. Floods, especially. Floodwater is terrifying in real life. It moves fast, faster than people expect, and it carries everything with it. Chemicals, sewage, sharp debris, dead animals, fuel. People think they can walk through it. Bad idea. 6 inches of moving water can knock you down. And if your vehicle stalls in rising water, you're in serious trouble fast. So if you live in a flood-prone area, your evacuation plan matters way more than your survival gear. Know multiple routes out. Not one route. Multiple. Because roads disappear during disasters. Wildfires, too. People wait too long to leave because they want to save stuff. Then suddenly, visibility drops, smoke gets thick, traffic locks up, and now everybody's trapped trying to escape at once. That mistake can get ugly fast. Honestly, one of the most important survival skills now is recognizing when to leave early. Not being tough, not trying to wait it out, knowing when conditions are turning against you. That saves lives. Now, let's talk about food shortages for a second, because this part gets uncomfortable. Most cities are not stocked for long-term disruption. People assume stores have endless supply. They don't. Modern systems rely on constant movement. Trucks, fuel, workers, shipping, electricity. Interrupt enough of those at the same time, and shelves empty surprisingly fast. And hunger changes human behavior. A hungry, desperate person is unpredictable. That's why operational security matters. Basically, don't advertise what you have. You don't need neighbors seeing stacks of supplies through your garage. You don't need to post your survival stockpile online either. Because during real hardship, information spreads. People remember who prepared. And honestly, community matters, but blind trust can become dangerous too. There's a balance there. Know your neighbors if possible. Build relationships before emergencies happen. That's smart. But understand, stress changes people. Fear changes people, especially when kids are hungry. Something else nobody talks about enough is exhaustion. Real survival is tiring. It's carrying water repeatedly, sleeping badly. Constant stress. Heat, cold, noise, fear. Your brain gets slower when you're dehydrated or sleep deprived. Decision-making gets worse. People forget things, miss dangers, take stupid risks. That's why routines matter. Even simple routines. Check water, check supplies, eat small amounts regularly, stay clean if possible, try to sleep. Because mentally falling apart can become just as dangerous as the actual disaster. I've seen people make terrible decisions just because they were exhausted and overwhelmed. And honestly, isolation makes it worse. Humans handle stress better when they don't feel alone. Now, if economic collapse and disasters happen together, that's where things really start stacking up. Imagine inflation hitting hard while storms damage infrastructure. Fuel prices spike, insurance gets messy, food deliveries slow down. Suddenly, ordinary people are choosing between medicine and groceries. That's not some distant fantasy either. A lot of families already feel close to that edge. And when systems stay stressed long enough, crime usually rises. Not always violent at first. Theft, scams, looting opportunities, break-ins. People get desperate. So, your home security matters more than flashy survival gadgets. Strong locks, exterior lighting if possible, reinforced doors, keeping a low profile. Even simple habits help. Don't make your house look like the only functioning house on the block during a blackout. That attracts attention fast, and attention during instability is rarely good. One thing I really want people to understand is this. You do not rise to the occasion during emergencies. You fall to your level of preparation. That sounds harsh, but it's true. If you've never cooked without electricity before, your first attempt during a crisis is gonna suck. If you've never used your water filter before, don't assume you magically know how under stress. Practice matters. Small practice. Cook outside once. Use backup lighting for a night. Test your gear. Find weaknesses now while mistakes are cheap. Because in real emergencies, little problems stack together fast. Cold hands, low sleep, confusion, noise, fear. That combination causes people to freeze mentally. And honestly, the biggest survival advantage in 2026 might simply be adaptability, not toughness, not expensive gear. Adaptability. The people who survive hard situations are usually the ones who adjust fastest instead of clinging to normal. Because normal disappears quick. You may need to leave home suddenly. You may need to ration food. You may need to help family members who ignored every warning you gave them. That happens all the time, by the way. The prepared person becomes the emergency plan for everybody else. And that creates another hard reality. You need boundaries. Because if you burn through all your supplies trying to save everyone immediately, now nobody survives long. That's difficult emotionally. Really difficult. Especially with family. But survival sometimes means making uncomfortable choices calmly instead of emotional ones impulsively. Look, I'm not saying society suddenly collapses tomorrow. Most likely, life just keeps getting more unstable in certain places, certain moments, certain systems. But that's enough. A few bad weeks can permanently change somebody's life if they're completely unprepared. And most people are. That's the truth. So, start small. Extra food, stored water, backup power, medical supplies, a real evacuation plan, not fear, preparation. Because when things go wrong, and eventually something always does, you want to be the person thinking clearly while everybody else is panicking in a parking lot fighting over bottled water. And trust me, that moment comes faster than most people think. And yeah, hopefully none of this ever happens. Hopefully 2026 is calm and boring and all this preparation just collects dust in a closet somewhere. Honestly, that's the best outcome. But if things do go sideways even a little, being prepared changes everything. So take care of yourself. Stay alert, stay practical. And if you want more real-world survival videos without the fake Hollywood nonsense, hit subscribe. Because the people who stay informed early usually panic less later.